having a conversation with two leaders in the trucking industry, Brock Gavin of Aero Truck Sales, Jeff Stigler, National Truck Protection. Brock, I want to ask you, what is the importance of preventative maintenance from your perspective?
So to me, it's wrapped up in the same thing, the theme we've been talking about throughout this conversation, and that is customer success. Keeping trucks on the road, keeping those trucks earning money for our owner-operators for the exact same reasons why we encourage a customer to be protected with a vehicle service contract, right, to minimize unplanned downtime. Well, what's even better, right, than having protection when the inevitable ultimately happens, a breakdown? It's avoiding the breakdown to begin with, right? You can't avoid them all, but preventative maintenance is a way to minimize the number of unplanned breakdowns, minimize the amount of unplanned downtime, and therefore maximize revenue. So we know it's not going to be, a fail-proof, right? There still will be breakdowns, but the better preventative maintenance, the more comprehensive that our owner-operators take, the better off they're going to be.
Jeff, same question.
All right, so OEMs, they have spent billions of dollars over the years developing engines and doing product validation and verification of those and coming up with preventative maintenance recommendations to be able to support that product throughout the life cycle and ensure that it is reliable and durable, and with a goal of being able to achieve over 1 million miles. The preventative maintenance is key to that. So when you're purchasing a used truck that has 500,000 or 600,000 miles on it, changing the oil at the recommended intervals is critical to being able to ensure that it's going to stay on the road and not have an unforeseen failure. So it's very important to us in terms of the ensuring the uptime for the customer and minimizing the likelihood that they will have a failure and a claim and unforeseen downtime that we would then assist with. That preventative maintenance is key.
I mean, you're paying claims on major equipment repairs, engine, after treatment, transmission. You're doing this day to day. It's not if a used truck will break down, it's when. How do you cost out protection plans?
No, that's a great question. And our product, it behaves very much like insurance. So we look at what has failed and what the history of failures are and the actual severities of those and the frequencies. And we are able to, through our actuarials, look at what those anticipated costs are, what are our cost of operations as well at the call centers to be able to handle claims and keep customers on the road. And from there, we're able to calculate a price with a nominal margin incorporated into it as well. But there is risk associated with it. We can't always anticipate what the cost of a repair is going to be in 2024 versus 2026 or 2027. So we have to take that into account as we're pricing out vehicle service contracts, and that's essentially how we come up with the formula.
So Brock, how do you train your team out in the field to know the key benefits of adding a protection plan on their truck?
Well, it really starts on day one. So, when we hire a new salesperson, because we believe that this is, I should start by saying we believe that this is an offering, a vehicle service contract is something that a salesperson should be talking about with a customer at the beginning of the sales process. This is not something that should be discussed with a customer at the end of the process with, let's say, a finance manager only. A finance manager might help us, formalize the sale, including a vehicle service contract. But we train, to your point, our salespeople to get involved in that part of the sales process at the earliest possible moment with our customers. So when we hire a new salesperson, we bring that salesperson in for formal sales training, multi-day event, grouped with some peers that are also new hires, and this is part of our formal sales training program. So we educate our salespeople on the benefits of the vehicle service contracts for our customers, and we share some of the specific data, some that Jeff mentioned in terms of how it can all add up in terms of dollars and cents for customers, how it mitigates risk, and ultimately our salespeople become believers, just like we are as a company. Then it's continuing that on. So we do it on day one, but then that's part of our culture. It's part of our DNA. It happens every day, every week, every month in our branches. It's a continuous focus from our branch managers, from our finance managers. And then as a company, we're reviewing it every month and saying, how are we doing? How's it trending? Is this product still working for our customers? Do we need to make any changes, as Jeff mentioned, which we do from time to time? And it's always front and center for our folks. So we believe in it, at the corporate level, and our salespeople believe in it as well.
In your guys' role, you've had to handle a very interesting last few years in the trucking industry. I'm asking you to put your crystal ball out a little bit here. What do you think is going to happen, both the new and used truck market in the next 15 months? Jeff, we'll start with you.
Sure. Okay. So it's always difficult to predict exactly what's going to happen. I think if we look back 2 years ago, we would all have envisioned things to be different today than they actually are. But when you look at the truck market in general, we've seen a regulation in truck prices where they've stabilized at a certain level. We know that the EPA 2027 emission standards are coming around the corner that is going to facilitate a new truck pre-buy, but also increase the differential between a used unit and a new unit, which should provide additional support to truck pricing and be able to facilitate increased values for used units. And then looking forward, freight demand, right now it is still at very low levels, and there is more capacity out there than there actually is demand. So we're seeing some truck replacement, but retail transactions are somewhat strained, and it's strained from a vehicle service contract perspective as well. So we would foresee that at some point in mid-2025, things start to turn the corner, and we're seeing more drivers entering the business that will require vehicle service contracts, and that, obviously dependent on economic conditions as well, freight demand is likely, or I would think it would start to increase over the time, and we'd see some recovery in the market that would then carry through for the next several years.
Yeah, same question you, Brock. All the way through 2025. What you think?
So we've come a long way. So, as we think about the remainder of 24, kind of the fourth quarter here of 24, and then all the way through 25, I won't go as far as Jeff did on the pre-buy, because I think that'll be more of a 26, conversation, and then obviously into 27. It is two sides. It's demand and supply. And what we see from a demand side is it's been relatively stable demand, right? It's not the boom demand, from the post-COVID or COVID era, but it also hasn't been terrible. The challenge has been it's been less demand than there is supply, which is what Jeff mentioned. So we think a couple of things are going to happen. On the demand side, we'll obviously get some seasonal impacts. So there's always the fourth quarter seasonal lift that we'll see here in 2024. We know from container information data that there's more product sitting on the West Coast right now than there has been in the last several years. That product has to get to distribution centers and to retail. So we do see a bit of a seasonal lift here in the fourth quarter of 24. And then we always get a nice spring boost as well. So as we think about produce season and other spring-related items, in the, call it March, April timeframe of 2025, we expect to get a seasonal lift there. Then, to Jeff's point, we're not expecting a fantastic demand market in 2025, but a decent one, a good one. So then now the supply side is that we've seen supply come down. That needed to happen. It's unfortunate because there are a lot of consequences, real consequences for customers there, but it's needed to happen. And indicators suggest that today in time we're at a much healthier position, much closer to equilibrium than we have been at any point over the last several years. So we anticipate that, as we get closer and closer to equilibrium, there will be this need for some normal, let's say, inflow, new drivers, new carriers coming into the market just to sustain kind of regular levels of capacity. So net 2025 should be a better year than 2024, but we don't view it as a boom year, just a solid, good year.
That's Brock Gavin, president of Aero Truck Sales. That is Jeff Stigler with National Truck Protection. Thank you both so much for spending some time with us today.
Yeah. Thanks, Kent.
Thank you very much, Kent. Appreciate it.
Yep.